Welcome to Strange Attractors podcast.
Discovery. Today we're talking about a specific kind of mindfuck. We're talking about what happens when you wake up one day as an adult and you realize you were raised in a cult. Now when I say cult, you probably picture compounds in the desert. A guy in a sweaty tent in Alabama handing out snakes. But that wasn't my reality. My parents are wealthy. They owned a successful restaurant right here in Philadelphia. We were respected. My dad's best friend was the U.S. ambassador to Italy under Bill Clinton. My family was deeply integrated into the past-face, high-status culture of the Northeast. We didn't look like cult members. But behind closed doors, our reality was dictated by high-demand, paranoid religious spiritualism, backed by the marble floors, stained glass windows, and globally recognized stamp of the approval of the Roman Catholic Church. If you grew up regular Catholic, you know the drill. It's highly structured, it's bureaucratic. You stand up, you sit down, you do the creed, you eat the wafer, you go home. It's quiet, it's guilt-ridden, it's entirely devoid of all this showy emotion. Charismatic Catholicism, however, is the exact opposite. My parents believed they were privy to the hidden teachings of the Roman Catholic Church, and to be clear, this wasn't some underground basement. Every Wednesday, my mother attended Charismatic Catholic meetings at St. Peter and Paul's Basilica right on the Parkway in Philadelphia. But inside the walls and inside our home, the theology wasn't normal Catholicism. They didn't believe, for example, heaven was a place you went when you died. They believed it was another dimension. I was taught you could take a step to the left and you'd be in heaven. Heaven was always all around us and the veil was very thin. And because the veil was thin, my existence was framed as a constant battle for my soul. My parents were always talking about the devil, talking about heaven, talking about hell. The spiritual world wasn't a metaphor. It was immediate, it was violent, it was in my living room. Which brings me to the part about magic. Because we believe the spiritual realm is just a step to the left, we also believe that anything could cross over. People could be possessed, sure, but so could things. Objects. If you look at charismatic practices through an anthropological lens, it's straight up folk paganism. My reality was saturated in ritualistic protection. There was holy water everywhere. My mother would anoint me. She spoke in tongues. I have memories of her chasing me around the house with a rosary. In my family, every single time we bought anything, the priest was involved. Do business, you got blessed. Home, you better bless it. Family dog, once a year, bring him to church to bless them. Why? Because in Catholicism, we implicitly believed in animism. Demonic attachment to curse, a negative spiritual residue, whatever. Think about that for a second. The belief that an inanimate object holds spiritual energy, using elemental tools like water to cleanse the object and protect your home. What's that sound like? It's witchcraft. It's warding. It's the same logic used by pagan shamans and magicians to banish negative energy. We just called it a blessing. We used holy water instead of moon water. We used a priest instead of a coven. The mechanics were identical. We were casting protective circles around our material possessions because we lived in constant terror of an unseen world. At least once a week, we'd go to church and we'd do candle magic, right? It's called lighting a candle. You write your intentions on a little piece of paper. You put them in a slot next to the candle you chose. You light the candle. And then you literally sit there candle gazing for like 5 minutes and go back to your car and go home and do your homework. The thing about being raised in this kind of environment is that like the spiritual warfare never ends. Anything bad that happened, I was told I chose to happen to me before, I chose this lifetime in heaven. I couldn't complain because all of my suffering just earned me extra points with Jesus. And I chose it. I chose my parents. I chose my struggles. If I complain about it too much, like, it's my problem. I got to talk to a priest. That's not normal. It's not normal to complain. I chose this with Jesus before my lifetime. If I stepped out of line, it was because the devil made me do it. If I wanted to talk to my mom about something, no, I didn't. You're too fresh. You need to talk to the priest. My entire life, my autism, my chronic fatigue, they were never medical realities. They were spiritual failings. I was told I was stubborn, I was lazy. My neurodivergence was me refusing to submit. I recently suffered a horrible dog attack. I lost my right hand to amputation. As an autistic person with fibromyalgia, the sensory nightmare of having my bandages changed in the hospital was overwhelming. To manage the pain and fear, I used what works for me usually as a yoga teacher. It's like a beautiful track of a woman singing one of my favorite Sanskrit mantras. I was using it to ground my nervous system in the face of unspeakable tragedy. But my mom clocked it on the one hospital visit she made to me. Shouldn't have invited her. Big mistake. Besides policing my food the entire time to make sure I didn't get too fat, she looked at me and she dropped a bomb before she left. She said, instead of putting on a Sanskrit chant, if I'd gotten on my hands and knees and begged Jesus, maybe I wouldn't be lying in a hospital bed. Yeah, I'm serious. Think about how much cruelty that takes to look at your child survive something that could have killed her. Metal bars screwed into her forearms, and tell them they were maimed because they didn't grovel hard enough to the right God. Then you leave them alone with 2 disabled children to take care of. That's not love. That's a hostage situation. Look, it's a massive pill to swallow. Realizing your reality was built on a foundation of theological paranoia and abuse. But naming it is the first step in dismantling it. I'm no longer afraid of the devil. I don't blame the universe. And I don't think there's a war zone between angels and demons fighting over my soul. I'm never going to get on my hands and knees and beg for anything from anyone. But I still believe in the weird and the wonderful, and I believe our thoughts shape our realities in a lot of ways. I can look at chanting, though, and realize it's not a desperate call or defense to a god. It's just a psychological tool that helps my nervous system, If this resonates with you, come on and unpack your own trauma, or just explore the esoteric without all the dogma. We got a lot of untangling to do. Join us. I'm Nicole. This is Strange Attractors. Stay weird. Stay grounded, and I'll catch you next time.